Hi, everybody. My name is Chris. I hate to do this, but I have to start with an apology. As some of you know, yesterday I was going to stream this webinar live on YouTube, and my personal technical limitations meant that it didn't work out. Everybody got locked out. So to make it easy for you to have the information, I'm going to record the webinar that I would have done and post it on YouTube, send you a link so you can watch it in your own time without having to be there when I schedule it. But again, please accept my apologies for not being there. For anybody who is considering one of my future webinar dates, I'm also going to send you that link. So again, you can watch it when it's convenient for you rather than according to my schedule. And for anybody down the road, welcome. The part that will be missing from the webinar is a question and answer session. So along those lines, I had an idea. What I think I'm going to do is set up office hours, something that happens in college where a professor is in their office and you can come and ask any question you want during that time. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a question session sometime in the next week or two, and I will send out an email and a link to that. I'm going to try again and see if I can get that going on YouTube. And if it's well attended and popular, I might just start doing college essay office hours once a week. You're welcome to come. You can tell friends. It might be a cool thing to do, just to have a resource for that. But at very least, I will do it at least one, so that you can ask questions. The other thing I have coming up is a more comprehensive paid webinar, and there'll be plenty of information about that along the way. In the meantime, let's get underway. As you know, this webinar is called 4 Fatal Flaws That Will Ruin Your College Essays. My hope is that, unlike a lot of webinars, I actually want to give you stuff you can use. I don't find it very helpful when someone lures me in and I leave knowing, well, what was I there for? It's kind of like when I was in high school and college, I might get a paper and there was a comment by my teacher and I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. So I really want to give you something you can use. What else can I tell you? Let me see if I can share my screen here. You can get a look. Here on my screen, you'll see that I have a website called collegeessaymentor.com. You could say I'm the owner or the founder or just the guy, but it's just me. That's the website for my one-on-one college essay tutoring that I've been doing for 5 full years. This is my 6th year, and it's gone pretty well. So I'm happy to share some things I figured out along the way with you. Here's probably the first question that anybody would ask is, why would anybody listen to me? One question, because I have a fancy education. Sure, I went to school in New York City where I grew up, and then I went to Dartmouth College. After that, I went to graduate school at London School of Economics. But those are not actually good reasons to listen to me. Another reason people sometimes cite is, well, maybe because you worked as a journalist. Also true. My first job is I worked in London for the Economist magazine. After that, I worked in Hong Kong for the Wall Street Journal. Again, that's where I learned many of the things that I actually make part of the teaching and the stuff you're going to see, but not necessarily a reason to listen to me. How about, oh, you wrote 2 books? Also true, they're both travel adventures. One is called Sparring with Charlie. The other one is called Waiting for Fidel. If you want to check up on it, they're on Amazon used books. You could buy it for about $1. I'm not saying you should. But again, I learned plenty about writing along the way and had some fun, but not necessarily a reason to listen. How about because I tried stand-up comedy for a while and did not well, arguably failed. Certainly not a reason to listen to me. I think that last reason is the only reason to listen to anybody who does anything. I've had a fair bit of success over the past 5-6 years, helping students to create and craft the kind of essays that make an impact in the college admission system. So, it's sort of one of these things. The proof is in the pudding. If I'm able to help somebody get what they want, that is really the only reason to listen to me, and probably the only reason to listen to anybody. They can have any pedigree you want, but they have to be able to provide what you need. If it's helpful or of interest, you can take a look. There's a results page on my website, and as you'll see, students who work with me have done pretty well. So I can't provide that full thing to you right now, but I can certainly get you on the right track. The next question you might ask is, why am I doing a free webinar? Number one reason, I want to share some of the information and insight that I got along the way helping students and from my various writing incarnations, so that you have a way to at least get on the right track with your college essays and have some idea of what not to do at every step along the way. Sometimes having no idea, you might get on the wrong path. I can at least point you in the right direction in the next, we'll see how long it takes, 20 minutes or so. So basically, I want to broaden ideas. I work with a lot of students one-on-one. Here's something for everybody. I also want to increase awareness of the paid webinar I'll be doing probably next Sunday, but also, let me share my screen. Going forward, anybody who comes across this at another date, I'm going to be doing these from time to time, if there's interest, maybe once a month or so. So you're always welcome to go to my website and see what you find there. I'll post specific dates to give you a sense of what that might look like. Here I have a page on my website for webinars. It's found by going to the Services tab, College Essay Webinars. There's the information that people found about the free one. And then down here, there will be information about the paid webinar. It basically focuses on the personal statement for the Common App. And in 3 hours, I can give you everything you need to know to write a great first draft. I'll probably set up a second webinar about how to edit and move towards a final draft. But for now, that's my thought. And let me have a look at my next slide. Of course. Well, I will say that I was really hoping to get my YouTube thing, that webinar going there. Part of my thinking along those lines was that I would ask, beg, plead everybody who watches this to check out my new YouTube channel. At the moment, I have a fairly pathetic number of subscribers. What's on the channel is college admissions information. It's not limited to essays. So I have interviews with students about life at their college. I have interviews that tell where people say how they got in, meaning what was their high school life like that contributed to that. And then I'm able to talk to admissions experts, which is basically former admissions directors and deans, about specific topics. So I would love for you to subscribe, check out what's there, and sort of stay aware of what might be coming, because I want to do a lot more of those, and I would love for people to get the information. And with everything, including this webinar, please feel free to share things that you think are good. I'm not sort of proprietary or territorial about it. I'm trying to put stuff out there. So let's get to it. Why are college essays, and by that I'm talking about the personal statement for the common application and as well as the coalition, what most people are doing, the common app these days, why are they so challenging? I think that the starting point is that writing is hard. It's hard for everybody. So, you know, professional writers find it hard. Journalists find it hard. Everybody gets writer's block. So what you're trying to do when you have a blank piece of paper and trying to fill it up, it's something that I guess I can't say nobody, but very, very few people, including me, find to be easy. The other thing that makes it challenging is that college essays can be important. You know, the role of the essay varies according to where you're applying. The more selective the college, the greater the potential of the essay to make a difference to the decision. As you move down towards big state schools, particularly when you're in state, those decisions are based more on your class rank, grades, test scores. It's more of a formula. The essays probably don't have the potential to make or break your acceptance. Nevertheless, you still need to have an essay. But particularly when something is important or might make a difference, that's pretty stressful. You worked hard in high school, you're ready to move on to college. All you need to do is put the right 650 words onto the piece of paper and you're good to go. It feels like the stakes are high, so that makes it even more challenging. If you look around, you can find a bunch of stuff on the web and you can talk to teachers and you could talk to friends, but I don't think there's often a lot of guidance about what to do. Here's this new phenomenon in writing, and not a lot of people are helping you. Again, very stressful. And I don't want to say above all, but perhaps most damaging of all, is that there is a lot of bad advice that people get and give. So as a result, it's kind of easy to get on the wrong track, or you might get a bunch of tips. Personally, I don't think tips are very helpful. It's sort of like here's a little something, but that's not the same as knowing what to do. So somebody who offers you 5 tips, I'm sure their intentions are very good. They may or may not know if their tips are good or bad. They're just doing their best. So probably no bad intentions, but not necessarily good information that you can make use of. So I'm hoping I can do a little bit better for you. Let me find my next picture here. Oh yeah, so I'm here to help you, not necessarily to make myself popular. So I'm always going to tell you or anybody what I think and why. I promise you my intentions are good, but I'm not too concerned about stepping on people's toes. So, why is good advice so hard to find? I'm pretty sure that part of the reason is that at most schools, college essays get sent over or made the responsibility of the English department. And that sort of makes sense because, that's where most of the writing teaching happens. So they give the job to the English teachers, or English teachers take it upon themselves. The problem from my perspective is that few English teachers are actually writers. So this will sound weird, but I believe that people who become English teachers tend to be people who really enjoy reading or analyzing or talking about books. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have ability or interest in writing. I'm sure part of the training is, here's how you teach writing. But I think it's a lot different to actually have tried writing, struggled with it, which I promise you I have. Everyone says they're a procrastinator. I promise you, I am a pro procrastinator. But I hope that by working through some of that, actually being a writer, that I've learned some stuff that lets me help other people, help you in a more specific way than English teachers have. So I don't think there are any bad intentions. In fact, I'm almost sure there aren't. On the other hand, I'm not sure that when English teachers are giving college essay advice, it's not really within their skill set, abilities, or even job description. It's just a job they were given. You'll also see that, as I said earlier, that I don't think tips are helpful. And the other thing I would say is that you get into a situation where bad advice or unhelpful advice starts to become conventional wisdom. So everyone just starts repeating it, and no one stops and says, whoa, hold the phone. This is not a good idea. Please stop saying that. It's not helping. That's what I want to do. But I can tell you that's how some stuff has gotten out there. So the way I would say it, maybe more succinctly, is that conventional wisdom leads to fatal flaws that in turn make it difficult for students in general, maybe you in particular, to start, write, and edit your personal statement. All right, cutting to the chase. Let me find a way to share my screen here again. What I would call fatal flaw number one, which is that people misunderstand the term college essay topic. What I'm talking about is people might say to you, what's your college essay topic? And you tell them what it's about. Or you might say, what should I write my essay about? What's my topic? So what happens here, commonly, so I can't say everybody, but people typically write about something that they did or something that happened to them. When they think, oh, I want to stand out, they say, well, what's the coolest thing I ever did? Or what's the worst thing that ever happened to me? That is not a good starting point. And it's a problem because people, professional college counselors, college advisors, people who get paid to do this still look at it that way, and it doesn't work that well. For example, let me say it this way. What happened, or what happened to you, is often not very interesting. Much more interesting is why. Why did you do this? What did you get out of it? You know, then it gets a little more interesting. Above all, what is really interesting is who. So what, not so interesting. Why, getting warmer, a little more interesting. But who is really interesting. And what I mean by that, let me say it quickly. Your college essay topic is not what you did or what happened to you. It's who you are. So again, to sum up the flaw, misunderstanding what your topic is in a way that leads you to what you did is going to put you on the wrong track. The right track is more along the lines of why you do things or who you are. So I hope that's makes sense, simply as possible. Let's see what else we got. Fatal flaw number 2. If using your high school essay writing structure. So what do I mean by that? When you spend time in high school, you go to English class and you learn about writing. Sometimes in other social science classes, you do the same stuff. The basic meat and potatoes structure there is the 5-paragraph essay. This is a really good structure for analytical writing. And what you're doing in high school is you're learning to analyze a reading passage or a book or some piece of history. That's what you want to do. You want to use that 5-paragraph structure. When I worked for magazine, The Economist, that sort of logical writing, not quite 5-paragraph, but that's a good approach. When you get to the college essay context, the 5-paragraph writing is terrible. Don't do it. There's a really good college admissions, college essay expert called Park Muth. If you wanted to look it up, it's PARKEMUTH. And he worked at UVA for something like 20 years and read tens and thousands of essays. And he referred a while ago to the standard college essay as the Big Mac essay. And he said it was usually a 5-paragraph essay. And he calls it the Big Mac essay because the essays were all the same. They were generic and they were presented in this structure. So as a result, they didn't make much of an impact. What you're trying to do in a college essay is not make an argument to get into school. So let's say you wanted to get into University of Michigan. The 5-paragraph essay structure for that would be an argument that starts with an introduction. You know, I've been going to high school for a while, college is looking good, University of Michigan appeals to me for 1, 2, 3 reasons. So that's your, what do they call, thesis statement in the 5-paragraph essay. And then you would spell out paragraph number 1. Michigan has a great academic program. Paragraph number 2. They've also got great resources for my major, be it biology, engineering, literature. Paragraph number 3. I want a Big Ten campus with a great football team. Conclusion, therefore, for these 3 reasons, Michigan is right for me. Please let me in. That's not going to work. This is not an argument you're making to someone to get you into University of Michigan. You could actually argue that a lot of that material would be better suited to another supplemental essay, the why essay. Why do you want to go to Michigan? And some of the stuff in there would probably work okay. But for your personal essay, not so much, not at all. Because what you want to do in your college essay, think about the previous rule. Your essay is not about what you did, your essay is about who you are. So when you're describing who you are and what matters to you, we want to talk about personal qualities, core values, your motivation. In order to do that, you don't want to make an argument. You want to write something more discursive, probably tell a story. The word that I use, I didn't make it up, is a personal narrative. But for that, you need a different structure. You need a narrative or storytelling structure. So this fatal flaw, using your familiar tool of the college, or sorry, using your familiar tool of the high school essay, it's not going to work. Don't do it. Fatal flaw number 3. Let me share the screen with you. Here we go. So this is, it may sound like heresy. I'm going to make the case. The most common college essay tip that you may hear is show, don't tell. Stop for a minute. Think if you've heard that before. You've probably been hearing it since elementary school. Elementary school teachers, in order to get young kids to not just state stuff, say, show me, try to be a little descriptive, observe something, give me some details. That is excellent advice at this stage in your life. As you get past middle school into high school, I believe that advice is too limited. It's fine, but it won't serve our purpose. In general, I think in more sophisticated writing, but certainly not in college essays. Here's the reason, is that if you, let's say your rule is show, don't tell. Well, let's say you show. You say, well, this thing happened, and here's a detail, and here's another detail, and here's another detail, and here's another detail. And you're writing about something that you did, or something that you saw, or something that you thought. Well, that's good. Keep up the showing, but showing is not enough. Because what we want, me as an essay consultant, but more importantly, admissions advisors, we want to know why this was important. Why did you tell me this? So what we want, in other words, is some self-reflection or some little conclusion. Why did you tell me all that stuff? What did it mean to you? If you leave that out, all we have is show, new paragraph, show. And I'll know what you did and what you saw, but I really won't have any sense of you other than, in the best case scenario, you're a very observant person. So my better rule, let's think back to elementary school, one of my favorite parts of the day, show and tell. Remember, you stand up in the front of the class and you'd say, oh, look at this cool thing, my little stuffy that I got, and it's my friend, and you would talk about it. So instead of show, don't tell, think in terms of show and tell. If you only show and tell, you are not going to be able to convey who you are in a way that will make a difference to an admissions officer. So I'm pretty sure about that. I know it goes against the grain of what you hear all the time. I can say that in this case, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I guess I should apologize for it, but it works. Show and tell. Then my last, or fourth, let's say, fatal flaw that I want y'all to know about is feedback. Getting feedback is a hard thing for any writer. And we are sort of socialized to think that we should want feedback, and we're good people if we get um, lots of opinions from other people. And if we think our stuff is so great and don't share it, that we're arrogant or we're copying an attitude or something like that. So get feedback is a dangerous piece of advice because it tends to lead to problems. It's tough, sometimes we asking for an outside opinion is not the same as seeking approval. So when you're done with a draft of your essay, you might say, oh, well, I'm going to show it around. Are you really looking for an opinion and something you can use to make it better? Or are you showing it to your parents to say, hey, do you like it? Do you like it? Are you showing it to your friends? Do you like it? Do you like it? Are you showing it to your friend who goes to the college you want to get into? Saying, hey, you go to pick a school. You go to Cornell. Read my essay. Oh, if you liked it, I feel better. My anxiety about not getting into Cornell is relieved. This is all approval seeking, which is psychological. I get it. I want all the approval I can get. However, those comments that you get may make you more anxious, and more importantly, you may not get the kind of outside opinion that is helpful. So I want to stay kind of focused when looking for feedback on stuff that will help you, stuff that will help me make my stuff better. So my suggestion, instead of just spraying your stuff out there for feedback, first of all, is do not overshare it. If you give your essay to a committee of people or to all kinds of people, you're going to get back, this cascade of comments from all over the place, and they're not going to sync up. They're all going to be different. And some of them will be, not even helpful. Again, people will have good intentions, probably, but when you ask people a question on your essay, not many people are comfortable saying nothing. So sometimes, in an effort to say something, so they don't feel kind of goofy for having nothing to say, you'll get this other piece of information, and you not always have the ability to recognize that. So you get this stuff and feel obliged to use it, and I'm not sure what you do with it. The other thing is, people ask for feedback. Here's my essay. Give me your feedback. In a way, I would say that question is too open-ended, meaning, do you like it is actually not that great a question. A better question to ask is, does this sound like me? Do you recognize me in this essay? One of the standards that people often say is the sign of a good college essay, and I agree somewhat with this standard, is if you dropped your essay in your school hallway and your name were not on it, would someone pick it up and say, oh, Chris dropped his essay because I recognize so well that person? So that's an okay question, because that's what we're looking for. We want you to be distinct and recognizable. If you have other specific questions, fire away, but in a way, try to get some sense of what you're nervous about and ask questions that are focused, so you can get the answers you want without sort of the fire hose of stuff coming at you. The other thing I would say, and Again, not very popular, but I do believe it is so-called peer review. I have two kids in high school, although actually my son just graduated, and they write their essays, and the teacher doesn't have time to grade them all. So they say, well, why don't you give each other comments? So that's sort of problematic because um, you're not sure what you're doing. So you're going to give your essay to someone else who's not sure what you're doing. And it becomes kind of like the blind leading the blind. I know it sounds harsh, but if you're asking the opinion of somebody who is as unsure of it as you, I'm not sure you're going to get back information that's helpful. And more importantly, you might feel bad about something that's actually pretty good. Um, Something else that you see that I noted here is be very wary of college students. So again, let's pick a school. I don't know, I went to Dartmouth, so let's talk about that. There are something like 1,000, 1,100 students at Dartmouth. Every one of those freshman class, every one of those students is not an expert on college essays. They got in for a variety of reasons. So just because someone, excuse me, goes to Dartmouth does not mean that they are an expert on college essays in general, or what kind of essay will get you into Dartmouth in particular. So unfortunately, then we're sort of left with, all right, well, who do we talk to? Do your best to decide if you can find one person, two people whose opinion you value. It can even be, despite what I was saying, an English teacher, someone who you think, this person gives me honest opinions and will give me specific suggestions. If you can find someone like that, that's who you ask. I guess it can be a parent, but parents are sort of treacherous in this process, because parents, first of all, they love you too much. They would say, oh, here's all this other great stuff I love about you. Get that in there. And your college essay can't become a dumping ground for all the stuff that your parents love about you. You probably need thousands and thousands of words. And then, they sometimes have their own nervousness about you're getting into college, and that might sneak in there. But if you can find the teacher or the really smart friend or the family friend, or God forbid, the college admissions expert who may not actually be, for what it's worth, the college counselor at your school, especially at public schools, big public schools like my kids go to, the counselor is a generalist. They cover all aspects of counseling for all grades. They kind of have to help you move your stuff through the system as you go to college, but they may not have specific expertise. So it's tough, but my main suggestion is be careful when you ask for feedback. Ask for, what you want from a very limited number of people, so you can get back something that you can actually make use of. So those are my 4 fatal flaws. Now, there's the issue of, why is that helpful? Well, if you've got the whole universe and you could go any direction, my hope is that, let's say you've got north, south, east, west. Well, at least having those things not to do will make sure that you don't go east, west, or south. So at least we're heading north. I really hope that is helpful and gets you going in the right direction. I've tried to offer a couple of quick suggestions about what to do instead. Obviously, if you want to know, okay, once you're heading north, what you should do, I hope this isn't too shameless a plug. In my 3-hour webinar, I can tell you what to do once you're heading the right way in terms of how to pick your topic, which is what I call the message about yourself that you want to send, and then how to organize or select the material, the writing structures you can use, and even, I hope, some suggestions about the writing process. But hey, that's not for everybody. And so I hope that what I have shared in terms of those 4 mistakes I really don't want you to make have been helpful. As I said, I will have sent this link out if you're watching it. I'm also going to try to do office hours, meaning I'm going to set up, I will figure the YouTube thing out, and I'll be there so you can come in with questions. I'll do my best to answer questions that are general and will help everybody, rather than, is this a good topic there in particular? I won't have the ability to do that. And if that turns out to be popular, I'm thinking about just setting up once a week. I'm in Mountain Time Zone, so if I were there at 4 or 5 o'clock once a week for an hour, maybe that would be a good resource for folks. Aside from that, I'll probably do more webinars on different topics, and all of it is to kind of get you going in the right direction. So the only thing left to say is thank you for coming. Repeated apologies for my messing up yesterday, and good luck in college admissions process, in college and beyond. The thing I say to my own one-on-one students is, good things are coming. We just don't happen to know which good things there are today. So keep the faith. Thanks again. Hope to see you again.